Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're all well and I hope you've had a lovely weekend. Here in the part of England that I'm in, it's been quite bright today, but around sort of 11 or 12 o'clock it was freezing cold. So for those of you that have been following me for a while, thank you very much for your support. For those of you that are new to my channel or haven't yet subscribed, please would you consider subscribing? When I get to 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to post 2 of my handmade cloths to anywhere around the world. As I've said before, not quite sure how I'm going to work out addresses. So obviously you can't post your address on the YouTube pages because it's all open, but we'll be able to sort that out. So yeah, handmade cloth that you can use for cleaning floors, cleaning your table, whatever really. The only thing I wouldn't recommend it on is windows or glass. But it's very durable. Once you've used it and it's dirty, you just stick it in the washing machine, and when it's dry, use it again. I've got mine that I use for years and years. So here you'll see me doing some more work on the cupboard and the cabinet area. So some of you said that you couldn't quite work out where it was. So the cabinet in my dining room is right in the corner, next to the piano, and next to the fireplace in the alcove. I also recognise that some of you have said to me about, I start something and I don't sort of finish it, or why don't you just do one room and move to the next room? And I guess there's a few reasons for that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to maintain rooms. So like I'm trying to keep on top of the kitchen, trying to keep the table clear in the dining room, trying to keep my lounge tidy, trying to keep my hall tidy. I'm just maintaining those areas. So some of my videos, you'll see that I'm just maintaining. And then I also then do a section where I'm then trying to tackle a particular area. Now, due to all the feedback that I've had from you, I do recognise that I have got quite a lot of stuff, which before I started doing this, I didn't really realise. I just thought that I was just untidy. Now I recognise that I have a lot of stuff and I need to get rid of stuff. And like, for instance, with my kitchen cupboards, quite a few of you said, you need to get some items, get rid of them, some of them to the charity shop. Now, a lot of my dinner service and items in the kitchen, I'm not going to get rid of. They're part of a set. A really lovely set. You can't get a lot of the set anymore, and also there is value to them. So one plate you could probably try and find on eBay for about £30, and if we do smash one, then obviously we've got spares. But I completely recognise that I don't need to have 15 plates in the cupboard when there's 3 of us. So my plan is with this cabinet in the dining room is, if I can clear out some of the space underneath, I can put the mats away. So the dinner table mats, I don't need to have a big pile of mats out when there's only 3 of us, so I can put them away for when we've got extra people. I can put some of the nice dishes away, and I can put some of the plates away and some of the mugs away. I might even be able to move out some of the glasses and plates that I have in my lounge into there. So that's my plan. So you'll see on the left hand side, what I've decided to do is all the books can go in my bookshelf. Now the bookshelf is full, but then I will then make space. All the things on the right are things that either need to have another home or things that are going in the bin. So I guess that's also why it might look like I go from one room to the next, because I need to clear a space before I can then move things. So like once I've done the cabinet, I'm then going to have a pile of things that need to find a home somewhere else. And then I'll need to go into the bookcase, clear out the bookcase, and then I'll find some space in the bookcase, and then I'll be able to move the things into the bookcase. I think it's just really, whereas like I said, I thought it was just tidying. It's actually, I'm trying to declutter my whole home. Sorry, I'm waving around trying to look at the timing there as I'm working out something. So one thing I did want to do initially was all my music books that I wanted to keep, I was going to put them in the bookcase. But it soon became really obvious that I'm just not going to be able to do that because there's far too many. So I've decided that if they're music books, I'm going to keep them in that cabinet. But if they're like gardening books, house books, etc., I'm going to put them in the bookshelf. Also, it's quite good because I found loads of photographs, like I was saying about that yesterday, wasn't I? But there was loads of loose photographs, and then the albums with space. So I moved all them out. They were big, though. Remember those big sort of plastic cases photos came in for a little while? I got rid of one of those by putting them in a sort of a paper case and put the others in the photo album. There were a couple of photo albums that my husband and daughter were very pleased to see because they were when my husband went to Disney World when he was 10. And because we went last year, that was nice just to have a little look through those. But I do think it's funny, when we had the old film cameras, you'd print out all these pictures which you had no clue what they were going to look like, and then all the blurred ones and all the ones which weren't very good, somehow you sort of ended up keeping them. Where of course now you just delete them off your phone, don't you? So there were quite a few like photographs with someone's thumb over the majority of the picture. My husband had also got some from when he'd gone on school trips when he was about 9 or 10, like the school children that he was with. So at the moment we're keeping them, but I think there's another job to be done to go back through them and then decide, okay, should I take photographs of all these, put them online for people who might be interested, and then get rid of them? Excuse me, I've still got this cough. I think it's going to go on forever. Yeah, so there's some videos there that I want to keep and a few DVDs I want to keep. But they're just because they're like collectible ones. But otherwise, I remembered what one of my followers said. Be ruthless. And you're right. If I look at it and I don't love it, and I don't use it, and I don't need it, I've got to get rid of it. So, so there was some music that when I saw this big pile of music that I then decided to keep, I thought, this is ridiculous. I honestly haven't been in this cabinet, well, maybe once in the last year. So there's once in the last year that I've looked either for music, for DVDs, for videos, for books. I can't really love those things too much, can I? So it's about, just going through them all. Thank you ever so much for my comments that you gave on my chairs, that I put at the end of yesterday's video. You can actually see one of them just there. It was really kind, you said about the fabric that I'd used and how much nicer they looked. I've got a bit of a story about that fabric, actually, because when we were decorating this house, I looked at all the different fabrics online. Those of you that are in the United Kingdom might have heard of shop John Lewis. Or Bonds, as sometimes known, but we went into John Lewis and I saw this really beautiful fabric and I decided that was the fabric that I wanted my curtains done in. And in the dining room, you may have noticed that's an old door. So there's a door in the windows either side of the door, and that was the original from the house in 1928. So it can sometimes be a little bit drafty. So I wanted some nice thick curtains that were well lined, that in winter I could just pull across and there would be no draft at all. So we priced up these curtains, and given all the other work we were doing, renovating the house, and there were so many things that we wanted to do, it was a bit kind of price prohibitive really. So we decided to wait a bit. And then I was looking on eBay for something completely different. And can you believe somebody was moving house and getting rid of these curtains that were in the exact same fabric? They were in like immaculate condition. Apparently they'd had them done for the house that they were living in. Then they decided to move unexpectedly. They saw this house of their dreams, decided to move. And the new house, there was nowhere for the curtains to go. The curtains didn't fit. So I took all the measurements, spoke to my mother-in-law's got a friend who does like alterations and is really good sort of seamstress. So I contacted her and said, what do you think? And she said, yeah, absolutely. So I ended up buying them, paid for the postage and everything. They arrived. They were in absolutely fantastic condition, like new. I just couldn't believe my luck. In comparison, the fact that I'd seen this fabric in John Lewis and then I hadn't been searching in particular for anything online and they just came up. It was like it was meant to be. So we paid a small amount of money for her to alter them, and they went up at my doorway door. And because that room used to be the lounge, when I then had these refurbished, I bought some of the materials specifically for the chairs, because when people come round, they were sitting in that room, and so I used to just bring the chairs down. I keep them sort of elsewhere in the house, like I was saying yesterday. So yeah, thank you for the comments on those. But I spent quite a long time going through this, and just like I said, trying to be ruthless, trying to sort things out, trying to bin things. But we had a nice day today. We got up at a reasonable sort of time, not too late, not too early. But we had breakfast and then got ready to go and see some friends. So I graduated with my MBA in 2010. And it's funny, isn't it, when you do a degree? Some people you keep in touch with, and other people you kind of just spend that time with at university, and then you never really see them again. But there was one lady I got on really well with, and she had a son about 2 years before we had our daughter. And sort of, yeah, I've always kept in touch with her, and sort of sent a present for when the baby was born. And then we saw her sort of like once a year-ish. Well, we'd not seen her since 2019. So we decided back in January to book something in. She's really busy, we're really busy, so it seemed like a long way away, March the 24th. But we went to a place, for those of you that live in England, we went to a place called High Lodge, which is in Suffolk. And I've never been there before. It's quite a distance from us. But it's fantastic. It's kind of halfway for them and halfway for us, if that makes sense. So it's not like one family having to travel further. But it was the only thing it was colder than what I realised. I really felt like I needed a hat and scarf. But it was nice to catch up with them. And then my daughter and their son, who's 13, they went off and played. And there's like absolutely fantastic equipment, like really, really tall climbing thing with these like really tall slides, and yeah, it's fantastic. And you don't pay for, you only pay for parking. So I thought that was pretty good, because a lot of these places you'd expect to pay to get into. And they've got like a massive cafe and restaurant, and you can go on the climbing thing there. And then we brought lunch with us. We had like a picnic outside where we all felt like we were freezing. But then we went on like a little woodland walk, which was nice. So my daughter and the boy like ran off, and they were building dens and stuff, and they found some stones, and they were trying to sharpen this flint, and had a nice time. So that was good. It was really nice to catch up with them. Yeah, so what I did, when we did the MBA, part of the MBA, you had to do your project abroad. So we did our consultancy project in the Czech Republic. We worked for an estate agent called Remax, and we had to look specifically at their like customer service and how they could improve their work on their reputation. It was a really, really good consultancy project, fantastic experience. But my friend's mother was Czech, and so she speaks fluent Czech. So at the end, when we did the presentation to the company, of course their English is fairly good, but it was good to be able to do the presentation in English and in Czech. If any of you have ever been to, not been to Prague, I recommend it. It's a beautiful city. I've been twice before. Once I've been with my family, then once I went with my husband's family, and then the third time was for the consultancy project. But yeah, fantastic experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And my friend was telling me about how, like, for a year of her degree, she went to Italy and was in Siena and studying at the university there. And I thought, wow, what a fantastic experience that would be, like, if my daughter could do that. Unbeknown to me, when I went to the bins to put, like, the picnic things in the bin, my friend was talking to my daughter in Italian, and I didn't realise. Now, usually my daughter will respond, if she knows the person speaks English and she's in England, she'll just reply in English. But my friend messaged me once we'd left and said goodbye, and said, oh, wow, she said, I was so impressed. I spoke to your daughter in Italian and she was like came back fluent and really confident. So that was nice to hear. But I think, oh, wouldn't that be an amazing opportunity if my daughter wanted to go and work or live in Italy for a bit or study in Italy? Although, it's so much harder now because of us coming out of the EU, so much harder and so many opportunities lost. But there's not much we can do about that now. So you can see the pile on the left has got taller and taller, but I'm now going to soon take some of those books away because I realise there's no way I'm going to get that massive great pile in my bookcase. So I need to think I'll keep the music close to the instruments. And a few of you have said this to me about categorising and keeping things together and keeping things ordered. And then it makes sense in terms of that's the home. So I've got some music books in the piano stool, some music books in the cabinet. That makes more sense than some music books in the piano stool and the other music books in the bookcase in a different room. I also do need to sort through my other bookcase, the bookcase that I've got in my hall, because that is absolutely rammed full of books in not particularly good order. Mostly travel books, which I know you'll probably be like, oh, you get rid of them, you don't need to keep them all. But every time we've had like a travel book, I have kept it because I tend to think it's quite useful when we go back. And it's nice to look through at a later date, and it's nice to think about the places we've travelled to. But I know you can get them like from a library and you can get them and they're quite cheap, and I could just buy another one, couldn't I, if I desperately wanted one. But I do like all my travel books. But that being said, that cupboard also needs a good sort out. So in this cabinet, which I'm now sorting in the video, there was also some travel books. So I thought, well, the travel books can go in the bookcase, which is full of travel books. So again, keeping like with like. So I feel like I am making progress. I feel like I am getting better. And I do kind of feel that these videos, they hold you to account, don't they? Because you're thinking about, like, you're all kind of rooting for me and supporting me. So I've got to keep on. And if I stop for a couple of days, then things then start slipping back. And I just don't want that to happen. I want to keep on until the whole house is decluttered, and then go back. And on my last video, a few of you said about the cabinets, the kitchen cabinets, and I completely agree. Many people have said that to me. My aim, originally when I put those like wooden boxes and filled them with spare shopping, I thought, well, that will help my cupboards because my cupboards were overflowing. But in reality, like a number of you said, you don't go to the things and then the things become out of date. So it's kind of a bit pointless. And I think it looks clearer if it's just like nothing on there at all. So that is my plan. I think probably what I should have done is I should have actually had cabinets go up to the ceiling. Because we've got lovely high ceilings. I should have probably had taller cabinets. But, well, we all live and learn. Once you've had them fitted, I'm not going to change them. A couple of you have made some really sensible, useful points in terms of sort of communication to my husband and daughter and of what I'm trying to do. So Sean Daniels, 828, said about, mentioning to my husband about the work surface. And I said yesterday about how I like to keep that clear, because if you open the door wide, people look straight down your hall and into your kitchen. And therefore saying to my husband and daughter, if you're taking something through to the kitchen, just put it on the right-hand side. So sometimes it is just about communicating that. So I thought that was a really good point. I got lots of comments about those chairs yesterday, which is lovely, and people liking the discussion about the history of my house and garden. I love the history and of the house and garden as well. And I know quite a lot of the history to do with the family that built the houses as well, which I think is nice. Someone else said, Karen said about getting the family, getting my husband and daughter involved in sorting the photos. I think that's a great idea. So this is my initial sort through in terms of this cabinet. There is more that I then want to come back and do with that, which I think is around, getting my husband and daughter involved with the photos and then really deciding what we want to keep, what we're going to take photographs of, what we can get rid of, what we can give to other people. And it was interesting, yesterday when I talked about how white goods don't seem to last very long in comparison to you used to be able to expect to have an oven that lasts for 20 years, and it just doesn't now. Someone, like, they don't see their name, it just says user XN9SZ, but they said that when they bought their most recent washing machine, the actual salesman in the shop said they're now built to last 5 years, which just seems incredible, doesn't it? I mean, where have we come from? It should be that washing machines and ovens last for 50 years now, and they're passed on to other family members, not that they used to last for 20 years and now last for 5. Incredible. And then it really made me laugh. Carolyn mentioned about that wine that I was dumping. Do you remember the 4 bottles of wine, which were like out of date and we weren't going to drink? So one bottle we tried, had a little bit of, and then poured down the sink. And the reason why the others sit there is because they've got like the champagne tops, not champagne tops, well, corks. And I didn't know how to do those. So I said to my husband today, can you undo one? I'll try it. And pour it down the sink if I don't like it. So it was a Prosecco, which I do quite like it if it's sweet, but it was really dry, and then I wasn't quite sure, with my taste sometimes being a bit funny, I wasn't quite sure whether it was off or not. So yeah, I tasted a little sip and then I poured it down the sink. So I've got 2 more bottles left there. So I just need to do those and get him to undo them. And then when we got home from High Lodge, we watched the rest of the church service. I felt a bit disappointed that last week I'd missed it because I went into the child section, which was all, like I said before, we found it all a bit stressful really, because like I'd say half the children were just running around, not listening, misbehaving, I felt rude towards the leaders of the school, sort of, or not school church, the Sunday school church. And they're really young, these sort of leaders, singing and trying to do to tell Bible stories in a way that entertains children. I felt like some of the children were quite disrespectful. So I felt that was quite stressful, and I missed a really good service, which I then caught up later, and my husband said how good it was. And then when we booked today to see my friend, I'd not realised how close it is to Easter. And of course, it's Palm Sunday, so I missed the service. We watched the rest of that on the TV, so that was nice. It was a really good service. And then we've got plans for next weekend because Easter's getting really close now, isn't it? It was lovely to read what some of the things that you do in terms of traditions in your family and things that you do over Easter. So my holiday begins on the Thursday. So I've got Thursday off, and then I've just got 1 day less than 3 weeks. So I've got 20 days where I'm not going into the office. I've got 2 weeks completely off, and then on the next week I'm going to just do a couple of hours in the evening. But it'll be nice just to have a proper break. And I think that's partly why the last week has been so busy. I looked at my hours for the work that I do with apprenticeships. I've done about 26 hours, and then plus my main job. That's too much really. And that's also because I worked on the Monday, which you remember me saying I don't work Mondays, so I'm not going to work a Monday again. And then next week, so tomorrow, I'm not working tomorrow, but then Tuesday I'm doing a long day because I swapped Tuesday with Thursday. And then Wednesday, I've got a lot on. So the only thing a couple of you are right, I have spread myself quite thin. And I'm going to cut back on some of the things. I've already booked a couple of Tuesdays in as well. As the weather turns nicer, I want to get out of my greenhouse and, grow my plants, tidy up the greenhouse, clean all the greenhouse. That's calling me. There's lots to do in the garden that I need to get on with. The only thing about this sort of these next few days is I've got lots to tie up for my job around risk management, emergency management. I've got lots to do in that area before leave, but then I've also got a lot of other work to do in my other job. So, for example, on Wednesday morning, I'm delivering a workshop, which I haven't yet written, but I can't prepare for that on Tuesday evening because Tuesday evening I'm working at a fire station. I've got a review for one of my own firefighters, and then someone else has asked me if I can pick up their exit review for a different firefighter. Well, if I'm honest, they didn't actually ask. It was the firefighter that said, "Oh, Emma's at the station. Can I have my exit review with her?" Which I think is a little bit odd. I'm just going to wait to see what's said. But I wonder whether something's going to be said in terms of the feedback that he wanted to speak to me about and not speak to someone else. But I shall keep an open mind until I hear the conversation and see what they've got to say. And then Monday evening, I'm going to have to work to prepare for meetings on Tuesday, which I'm not prepared for. And if I don't work Monday evening, I'm going to have to work Monday during the day, which I just don't want to do. So it'll be a busy few days, but then I'll be off on Maundy Thursday, Good Friday. We're not going to go to church on Good Friday because the only service is at 10 o'clock. And my mum always does hot cross buns for everybody. And she's gone to the effort of getting special hot cross buns for my daughter. So we're going to go around hers and have hot cross buns. Then we'll go out to a grave of a family member who, well, her favourite time of the year was Easter. She absolutely loved Easter and was very religious. So we always go to her grave, and we have done since about 1985, every single Easter. Saturday, we've not really got any plans, but I'm going to keep that clear. So we'll probably just be at home, just spend some time, the three of us. And then Sunday we'll go to church in the morning, and then we'll go to my mum's for roast lamb, and then we'll just spend time. So that'll be us three, my sister, her husband and her two sons, and my two nephews, and my mum and her partner, which would be nice. No plans to see my dad, unfortunately, over Easter. It's kind of funny, isn't it, when your parents are separated? It's always a little bit difficult in that situation. I saw on Facebook there was photographs that his partner's daughter had posted, like with my dad. And I can't help but feel, I don't know what the word is really. It's not hurt, it's not upset, but I don't like it. I'm not quite sure what the adjective is to use. I suppose it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Just one of those things. Can't do anything about it. But I think it's just hard when families are split like that, because everything's sort of a bit of a juggle for Christmas, for Easter, for some bank holidays, the awkwardness at birthdays, but you just have to go with it. I mean, I'm lucky that some people have to go through that when they're like 7, 8, 9. Well, I was 17, 18, so, you know, I had a lovely childhood where we went on family holidays and everyone, my parents got on well, and lovely memories. So, yeah, that's good. So I'm in the kitchen, and you can see I move everything over to the right-hand side, sort clean through the saucepans, put some things to soak. I'm still taking your advice about soaking the plates when you're not going to wash them up straight away, which I think is a really good tip. That wine stacker thing, that is right above. So I've got the wine as part of my cupboard, and then the wine holder above. That's wooden, and I need to give it a good clean, like soak it in something, because it's got that sort of like grease on it that you sometimes get like on the tops of the shelves. I think it's because I don't have an extractor. So I think I'm going to probably put that in the pantry, because I mean at the moment it's empty. But if I do then have bottles of wine or bottles of beer, I could just put it in the pantry. Although more and more is going into the pantry, and the pantry's getting fuller and fuller and fuller after I cleaned it all out. I put the saucepans there in a pile just to dry, and then I can just put them straight away in the cupboard. I still have got a couple of things on the work surface on the left, the things that my dad gave me. So I need to decide what to do with those, because a couple of them are quite nice, but I'm just not convinced that I actually love them, need them, want them. Yeah. And then you'll also see my husband was doing stories with my daughter. So he was upstairs while I was doing this. And then I thought to myself, I think sometimes the way that women are, we can sort of see all the different things that need to be done. And my husband's got certain jobs like the bins and so on, but I thought, well, while I'm doing the washing up, when he comes down, I'll say, oh, can you get all the washing out of the washing machine, please? And so he wouldn't be aware that the washing is in the washing machine and needs to be taken out, but I just asked him and he did it all for me. So I think sometimes also I need to ask for more help rather than just assume that somebody has seen it. Actually, he was totally unaware that there's washing in there that needs to come out. So he takes that all out, and then in a minute I'm going to hang it all on the airer, which I am still thinking about getting a heated one, because a couple of you have told me they're really, really good. One person actually went and bought one fairly recently and recommended it. So although that uses electricity, but that would mean that things aren't going to be sitting around the house all the time. Washing's not going to be sitting around the house. So I think that's worth doing. I did feel tempted to give my husband feedback as he got the washing out of the washing machine, and I thought, what am I doing? Keep quiet. He can sort it out. He can do it. I often have these conversations with my in-laws, because like my mother-in-law won't have my father-in-law really do any cleaning because he doesn't do it properly. And I think sometimes if you want assistance, you're better just to take the help and keep quiet. If it's not done properly, or if it's not done up to, the normal standard. So yeah, I mean, a couple of the main things that I need to do left in the kitchen are just going clearing everything off the top. All the cupboards now are pretty well sorted, although I do think probably in my cabinet where all the plates are, there are some old mugs that my daughter doesn't use anymore. Like the little mugs that they have when they're younger. And now she needs a proper glass of water, not a tiny little mug. So I think we could probably be ruthless with that as well. And some things, like she absolutely loved Frozen, but now she's kind of not so fussed. So I could get rid of some of those smaller mugs as well. So I was wondering what you're planning to do tomorrow. So I'll be getting up and doing the school run, and then I'll be doing my normal Monday things. So I'll be going to the supermarket. So I haven't been to the supermarket properly for 2 weeks, because last Monday I was working. The Monday before, I can't think what happened the Monday before, but there was a certain reason. My husband needed the car. So we did the shopping at the weekends. So yeah, I didn't have the car to do the supermarket shop. So I'll be doing the shopping in the morning, and then me and my husband will have lunch together, and I'll be doing jobs in the house, and I'm hoping that it doesn't rain so I can then go out and do some more weeding in the front garden. That's my hope. It'll be nice to do that, get some sunshine. I mean, like I said today, it was really, stood there and got really, really cold, thinking I needed hat and gloves and scarf. But then just as we were about to come home, the sun came out and it was glorious. So maybe we're starting to move into April weather, and we'll get a few showers as well. But certainly I do want to get into the garden and start sorting stuff. I'd really like to do more with my grass in the front garden. We had that grass put down when we first redid the garden and had all the shingle and everything. So that turf was like all, nice and new. But over the years, it's got moss and weeds. And I think probably now, if I put like a weed killer or a moss repellent or whatever they are, not repellent, you know what I mean. I think it would probably, the whole grass would go brown. But I do need to treat it because it's got some really big weeds in. So I might just go around. I don't like using the chemicals. That's the thing. So I might just do one of these sort of feeds which encourages the grass. So the grass then gets stronger and stronger, and then there's no place for the weeds. But we'll see. Well, I've talked for quite a long time. So I hope you all had a lovely weekend. I hope you have a good week ahead. Thank you again for all your support and kind comments. I very much appreciate every single one of them. I did realise that there was some from about 2 weeks ago that I'd somehow missed. I read all the comments and try to reply to all the comments, but somehow some had come through and I just hadn't seen them at all. So that's why some of my replies were a bit later. But I hope you have a fantastic week leading up to Easter time, and whatever you're doing, I hope it goes well and I hope the sun's shining for you. And I'll see you in the next video.